Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon. It's 2 p.m. my time for anybody who tracks such things. Get over there. Get over there. Get over there. So I am fucking around today. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to say I'm not 4,000 times. I'm making another one of these today. I'm doing that today. Because I decided to work on I decided to try this, see where I was going to end up. Oh, and hi Linda, hi Free Spirit, hi Stevie. I made one of these today. I made one of these last night messing around, and I thought I'd make another one. So I thought I'd do it on camera because I'm messing around with stuff. I decided to mess around with doing some. Hi Michelle. I decided to mess around. We can't show the spider webs. Michelle does not like spiders. So I'm just gonna hold this up. Close your eyes, Michelle. I shouldn't tease. I should not tease. You send me for an eye doctor's appointment and there's a 50-50 chance I'm gonna cry at some point. So I get it. So we're gonna make one of these. I'm gonna make one of these on camera for you guys. No spiders. I can do a hexagonal patchwork blanket. You can take basically, yeah. This is a really popular design. I like the way I finished it, but yeah. So I thought I would do this. Turn one of these into the middle of the hexagon. Yeah, the resonant would be a lot worse. I picked up some fabric for Halloween 2 years ago. 2 years ago. And I've got a lot. There's a lot. Okay, we're a witchy community. A little spider web with a little spider in it is really, really popular. It's a popular fabric. So I got one and it was a little bit too realistic. That one didn't work out. That one did not work out. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you some stuff. I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to show you some stuff. This is actually fun and easy. This is a set of rulers that I got. This is 3 rulers. I don't think you guys are even going to be able to see them against anything. What have I got that I can? Well, that's a better contrast. This came as a set, so that nestles inside of that, because then you have 1, 2, 3 sizes of hexagon to make stuff with. So of course, I then found a piece of packaging. This is just the insert on some packaging, and it's literally the next size up. So as soon as I spotted that, I grabbed it. So this is the one I wanted to show you guys that these types of rulers actually exist. This, you know what? I don't know if they still do it anymore. They were super popular to do this. You go look at the quilting magazines, and sometimes in the quilting magazines you will find a little insert, and the insert will go, oh, learn to make this block, and then they include a ruler. Believe it or not, it is cheaper. It is cheaper to buy the magazine and get the free ruler than it is to go and get an actual hexagon ruler, because to go to a fabric store and get a hexagon ruler, you would have to buy 3 of them, and they can be up to $20 each, depending on where you're going, depending on what's available, depending on how unusual the design of the ruler itself is. So this came for free in a $15 magazine. So it's like, hey, I'm getting $50 worth of rulers for free. So I went and got it. Then I almost immediately found this. Like I said, this is the next size up, and that's the one I want. This is the size that I want today because I want to work with bigger stuff. I just wanted to show you guys the rulers. Oh, and it came with that too, because this is the 60-degree ruler. So you cut your pieces. You cut your 6 pieces, and you can make your insert. I should have got a picture. I made a cup holder for Lisa last night as well, using this, but I sent that to work with her over. She already has it anyway. I'm just trying to keep this stuff. It doesn't really, okay, it doesn't really matter. These are the inexpensive magazine insert rulers, which means they will be a little bit more prone to breaking. You have to be a little more careful with them. You have to be a little bit more careful with them. And of course, if I start doing anything using these rulers, and if I start, I'm like that one there, I might put in the shop, right? So if I start really, really relying on these rulers for stuff, then you'll want to be even more careful. But yeah. If your local quilting magazine, if your local quilting magazines, because you find them around here, we find them in the drugstores, the grocery stores, or whatever. If you're looking for something new, it's worth checking. They don't always have them. But it's worth looking at. We're not using them today, though, but I wanted to show them to you. Let me get this out of the way now. Let me just throw this in a corner. That over there. This is also a larger version of this. This is a 60-degree ruler. No, this one isn't. I got to double check on what this one does. But again, this ruler helps you do your pieces to the size that you want. If I wanted to put multiple pieces together, which I didn't save, this is what we're using today. And this gets, okay, you can't really cut along this. If I try to cut, I'm eventually going to slice it all up. So this I'm going to do, this is going to be a little bit different. So what I'm doing right now, I've got 2 roses here, and I've got a decision to make already. Okay. I got a decision to make because this isn't really obvious. This one here is not really super obvious because this looks okay like this or like this. So you can put the point, if you want the point to be down. So you have to do your mental math. By the way, I'm going to segue off into, I'm going to go completely somewhere else. I'll be using this machine, my Singer Quantum Stylist, for the future because I was finishing up that quilt the other day. I was on one of the easiest parts of the quilt. The thread shredded itself. Every now and again, you know how yarn, you know how regular yarn is. If you see a piece of regular yarn, I should have grabbed a piece of Lisa's to show you, but there are multiple plies stuck together. Well, sometimes going through the sewing machine, one ply. These are usually, I think these are usually 4 ply. Every now and again, one of the plies will break off and start feeding back into the machine, creating a knot. They create a knot up here that you don't really see until the thread breaks. Well, what happened was they created the knot up here, and eventually they got tied. Eventually the knot got tied up in the works that's in here on the other machine, that is. Only for some reason, this thread didn't break. So what it did was it just yanked everything out of place. So now when I go to sew, the needle hits inside where it's not supposed to, which means I can't use it until I get it fixed. And the good news is that all they have to do is adjust the timing on it. All they have to do is adjust the timing on it so that the needle's coming down at the right time, because everything got hung up and the bottom torqued a little bit. It's not a horrible repair. Nothing needs to be changed. It just needs somebody who knows what they're doing to reset the timing. And I can't get the machine in until September 26th. That's my appointment to go in and get that machine taken care of. But this is a really good machine. I do like this machine. It's slower. It's a slower machine, but it actually has a few more things that I like. So that's fine. I am fine. I am sad. But anyway, not even going to give you guys a chance to read. This is what we're doing today. Okay, so you got a couple of decisions to make right this minute. We'll take a look at, we'll get the camera back down here and we'll look at this, okay? What I need to decide is if I want this. No, this one doesn't do it. You have to decide which way you want your up and down to be, and you have to decide how many layers you're putting on. This one does not do it. There's another design that I do. I'm getting this is the first time I've done a hexagon project in like a couple of years. What the heck? Oh, we got some wind today. I thought it was a squirrel in the trees outside. Anyway, so you just have to decide. I thought you had to make more decisions. I'm just gonna be confusing. That's what I'm gonna do. So you have to decide, do you want your piece, which way do you want your up and down to be? Because if you're gonna do it this way and maybe hang it, this has got a batting in it. I used flannelette batting. So if I decide that I want to hang this up, then if I decide that I'm going to hang it, do I want to hang it like this? Or do I want to hang it like that? So you do need to decide up front where you want your bottom to be. And the bottom will continue to be the bottom on this particular design. So you're fine that way. But you do need to decide where you want your bottom to be, because I'm looking over here right now. I'm looking at this right now, and I almost put my point there. That's my point. I need to go this way. It makes a difference. It makes a difference to how you want your stuff to look. It makes a difference to where your centers are going to be. So this is the better one to do because of where my centers are going to be. And you also have to make sure that you're aware. I'm going to be outlining this with, I'm going to outline this before I cut it. Yeah, I'd be tempted to make a bunch of hexagons in honey yellow and stitch on a whole lot of bees. That would work. That would absolutely work. Because what I'm doing is I'm doing one, and then I'm just putting on these layers. It's actually not that difficult. This is not that difficult. You just need to line up your stuff. There's a moth over here, but I'm not going to be able to get the moth in unless I really screw with things, which I can. If I want the moth in here, then I'm going to have the roses coming in from an angle. I'm not sure that I'm going to like it though. I'm going to give up the moth. I'm going to give him up. But now the only other thing to do is to go, okay, you're going to be giving up a 1/4 inch all the way around. So visualize, mark it, do whatever you got to do, and just line it up. I'm giving up some of the stalks of the rose down at the bottom here so I can get a little bit more features up here. Yeah, that's what I'm doing today. So I decided to wreck my sewing machine. It's not, I use this machine for a long time before I got the other machine. So there's not, the biggest learning curve right now is to not be using the, I keep reaching for the knee lift. So I'm sitting there, so, and then you guys can't see because I'm wearing black, but I'm like over here with my knee going like this, looking for the knee lift. And it's like, oh, right, this one doesn't have one. I think everything else is about the same. This is a slower machine. And the really good news, this is a slower machine, but this machine, my other machine is a 9 millimeter. On my other machine, this is the that's the usual foot, right? That's a 7 millimeter, which is standard across like 90% of the industry. So I have a huge variety of feet. I have a box. Let me go get it. I'm all over the map today. You guys are used to that. Caffeine will help with that, right? Right? Caffeine helps. Okay, so this is the select. This is. I got this as aftermarket. It's got a foot for everything. It's got a foot. This foot. Yeah, this foot lets you feed through 7 different threads. You just feed through a bunch of threads and you just zigzag them on. This is a rolled hem foot. Lets you do the hems, right? None of these feet. There's a different size hem. None of these feet would actually fit. Yeah, I forget what, each one of these feet has a purpose. Okay. This is a hem making gadget. This is not a hem making gadget. This basically you can use it. You can use this as a bias, not a bias. You can use this for your bias to make a, it's got like a function as a bias. maker. You can use it as a substitute bias tape maker, where you make it and sew it in one step. None of these feet fit on my Janome because my Janome is 9 millimeters. So it's too big and these just wouldn't fit. So now I've got all these back. I've got all of these back and I can start mucking about with these. This here, like some of these feet are really weird looking and they all have a particular purpose. They all have a particular purpose and some are, these feet, it is worth it to sit down and mess with these. If you have a wide variety of feet, it's very, very worth it to sit down and mess around with them and find out what works and what doesn't work. Like this is just a regular zipper foot, right? But it's a backup to my other zipper foot. A couple of the feet are missing because they're in here to be used. I don't even know where all this goes. This is another foot. This one here lets you. This one, this is a seam guide. This is the seam guide. So if you're I think this is a type of piecing foot where you can. And I've got to double check. It's been such a long time since I've had these out. But yeah, I am just. So the foot that I've got on right now. This is a 1/4 inch foot. I just line up my fabric along the side here and I have an automatic 1/4 inch seam allowance. Or I could, like I said, I could use that. I could use that for the same thing. It just depends on what works for you, what doesn't work for you, or if you can just, line your foot up. Anyway. Other than that, the way that the assembly down there works. This is my problem is I set stuff up. I got to put this away or if I knock this over, it's going to be days to find them. Oh, there's my thread. I was looking for my extra thread and I couldn't find it. I'm like, where'd my extra thread go? Okay. So anyway, so the machine is not broken. I don't have to get parts replaced, which is good news. But I do have to so I'm literally just like being super fussy. Where do I want this to line up? Because once you cut it, you don't get to uncut it. Okay. But yeah, there's a ton of useful feet in there, but you will find if you buy a set like that, you will find that like the little rollover hem feet makes such an insanely narrow hem that it's not something I use. It's not something I'm interested in. But if you are interested in making clothing, then there's a whole bunch of feet in there that are really useful if you do clothing. There's a whole bunch of feet in there that are useful if you do what I do. So a whole bunch of feet in there that are useful for precision sewing. Blah, blah, blah. I think you guys get it. But anyway, so I am just, this is actually super simple. How often do I recommend taking your sewing machine for a service? It honestly depends on how much you use it. This is going in for a service. Yeah, the rollover feet are teeny. So, hi, Tammy. So the rollover feet are, not the rollover feet. It's taking your machine in for service. Honestly, around here you have to make an appointment. And right now, like I said, I just made my appointment like 2 days ago. I signed up. I've got a favorite. That I take all my machines to, which is great, but I won't be able to get that machine in until September. But I will say that if your machine is under warranty, make sure you take it in at least once a year while it's under, if it's got a good warranty, once a year, if you're doing a lot of sewing, makes a lot of sense. Once your machine's, that's like for the first year or two. Other than that, like, I don't know. I took my machine in at the 1 year mark once I first got it. This Janome hasn't been in for a service at all because it didn't need it. I know how to do the basics myself. That's just opening it up, opening it up, getting the worst of the dust out of it. So I haven't this will be its first. Wait. I may have taken it in for a cleaning last year. I may have taken it in. Basically, yeah, 3 months to get it in. But here's the thing, is that if I was scheduling a basic maintenance, I would schedule it, just keep using the machine until my appointment day, take it in the day before, pick it up that day, or pick it up later on that day or the next day. Okay, so this is the only time I need this ruler. What I am making, Tammy, where'd I put it? Oh, there I am. I'm making one of these today. I'm gonna go through the process of making one. Sorry, Michelle, I should have warned you. I am making one of these. I am making one of these, and we're gonna go through the process. So basically, once you get the first piece measured, you don't. Man, my nose. I'm doing the thing. I've got to start. I figured it out. Once I start talking, for about the first 20 minutes after I start talking, everything's like, well, you haven't been talking today, so screw you. That's what I need to do. I need to phone Lisa at work and keep her on the phone for like 20 minutes. And don't worry, I don't have big, nasty, disgusting things happening up there. It's just that little tickle. It's that little tickle, and it's like, well, I want to go deal with it because that's the last thing I want. So you can, on those rulers, you can use the rulers to cut. This is just, what the hell? I shouldn't be making any noise. You can use the rulers. You can cut along those rulers. If you're getting a drugstore magazine that has a set of rulers in it, you can cut along those rulers. But the piece this piece here is an octagonal piece, and believe it or not, it was in the bottom of a package of candy, Christmas candy, I believe. One of the things, I've made 3 sleeves for mine and Amelia's iPads, and every time the zipper has buggered me up. The sleeves are the correct size, but the zipper always makes everything smaller. If you add the zipper first, if you make everything, because you can cut a zipper, right? If you do your zipper first, I'm not sure how to explain it. One of the bigger things that happens when you're doing this is that you will have more scrap. So I prefer, like, I will probably make a second one of these later, but just keep in mind that in order to make your hexagon, you will get some scrap. If that is something you are desperately trying to avoid, then wait until you have a piece. Wait until you have an extra piece. Keep these kinds of pieces set aside. Sometimes what I do is I either add a buffer, measure what you ended up with, and go, oh, it's a 1/4 inch too small. Then just make your next one. Whatever instructions you're using, add a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch. If you don't mind it being a little tiny bit loose inside of its bag, then go a little bit better than that. Now, what's going to happen with this one does not matter, because this one's not going to matter. This one does not have a clear up and down. So it really didn't matter how, this is the actual bottom, but I can get away with assuming. So depending on like I said, the only reason why this matters, I should not tease. When I had to go see an eye doctor and they had to do a pressure test, I cried, and they only did one eye because they felt so bad they wouldn't do the other one. And that was 3 weeks ago. This the fact that, I mean, I wasn't like, but I was like, tears are rolling. Okay, so like I said, you have to decide where your bottom is going to be, because if you want to hang it up, then making sure your bottom is at the point, or depending on how you want to do it, right? Just keep in mind that whatever this looks like when you cut it is what's going to continue. There's another design that I do that I really need to do more of, that does it the other way. Anyway, so now what I'm doing, I'm not 100% sure. I probably cut this too wide. I cut this at like 3 inches. I'm probably going to really trim off a ton of stuff, but I wanted to be able to I know how distracted I get when I'm sewing. So it's like, well, I get super distracted when I'm sewing on camera. I know how distracted I get. So it's like, oh, I get distracted when I'm sewing on camera. And if you have the fabric to spare, then it's better to make it a bit bigger and then trim it down as you go. Oh, my iron's turning itself off. I've been talking for this. So I'm making these are, so basically I'm just going to go around and around and around. It's really simple. The one I did last night took me felt like it was going to take forever. But we all know how that is. Anyway. So what else is new with you guys? We've got lots of stuff happening in the Pepez house. So basically when you do this, you do want to make sure that that you have enough length to do it. I just cut an entire width of fabric strip because I already knew from doing the other one. And how big is this one? Great. There it is. This octagon is 4.5 inches per side. Oh shit, that sucks, Michelle. Sorry to hear that. Well, if things get rough, you can always start sewing. I'll give you some great ideas. Tell you how to set up an Etsy shop. Etsy's been good to me. So you can. I do it the lazy way because I can, right? And I just fold it up. I'm not going to agonize right this second because what I've got, I'm just going right along that line. I'm not going to use a pen just yet. I'm just going to go right along that line and cut it. I'm not doing anything else just yet. I'm going to spin around and iron this. I got my iron set up behind me today. I'm going to iron it because I don't know what I can get away with yet on these. I don't know if it's really easy to get away with, because you guys know how I do the sloppy thing all the way around, right? I don't know if I can get away with being super sloppy. I'll tell you right now, anybody that's thinking about sewing for a living, opening an Etsy shop, doing whatever, I'm more than happy to answer any questions about how that works from my perspective as somebody who does sewing. So I'm not agonizing yet. I am probably going to trim this down. Probably going to trim this down to probably an inch. I'm probably taking a lot of this back off again. This is kind of, okay, this does not have to be this wasteful. If you're watching this, it does not have to be this wasteful. All you need is to decide where you want your, now let me get the camera actually settled in. Okay, so right this minute, this is the new top and it goes across there. Right? I'm not going to trim any further. I'm going to give it a blast with the iron. So I need to go along that. I need to go along this one. Don't forget your sewing prefers straight lines. So if you don't care about what happens to your backing fabric, you can just leave this. I might just end up leaving this wide. I haven't decided yet. So to do this, this corner here has to be up here. It has to go over. Basically, you're just gonna flip it around. You're gonna line it up, and you're gonna make sure that you're catching that corner all the way up to here, right? And then you sew it. Yeah, I will say the one thing about sewing for a living that you really need to be aware of is that if you hit on something that people like say my bags, that you have to be okay with the idea of sewing them forever and ever and ever and ever. Now I can see, from my angle here, I can see where this ends right there. So I'm not being as careless as it looks. I'm just not trimming this as I go. That's the only difference, right? And I can feel it. So I'm just making sure I catch it. Fold it up just the tiniest bit. If you really, really, really want, okay, no matter how precisely you choose to sew when you're doing angled stuff like this, get that iron going. By the way, I am pushing out. I want, because this is paler. This is lighter. This is lighter than this, so I make sure that all my seams currently are pushed towards the dark. I just have a little bit of an extra piece here. That's just when I started. That's all pushed towards the dark. So, thusly and therefore, come up here, trim that. So if you're working with straight piece, if you need to measure, or I'm being really careless. I've got the fabric to waste, right? So I'm being really careless. I'm not doing a very good job. So basically, what you're going to want is that's going to be a 7.5 inch piece. So if you're pre-cutting, if you are pre-cutting, then your first piece is you're going to measure your piece from the inside. So your first piece is going to be 4.5 inches, and then every piece after that is 7.5 because it's making up for this. So what you're measuring is the width of this. You're measuring that here and adding it to however wide you want this to be. So if you want this to be, say 6 inches total, then what you're going to get is you're going to get 4.5 inches here and 1.5. That's going to be 1.5 inches when it's done. Am I saying it right? Am I making sense? I don't know if I'm making sense or not. Relax and enjoy the show. I'm not. I didn't quite cut enough pieces though, because I didn't take into account how wide I was making this. I thought I could get away with just one, so now I am gonna have to go cut one more piece, which is fine. By the way, I'm using my 1/4 inch seam foot because I'm doing a 1/4 inch seam all the way down. Really cool thing about these plastic 1/4 inch seam feet is that they also have the red line on them is a 1/8 inch. Oh, I was going in the wrong direction. It doesn't really matter which. Once you get the first piece on, it really doesn't matter which way you go after that. I ended up switching direction on myself. Now I should have went that one, then that one, then that one, then that one, then that one, but I did that one. It really won't affect anything. So I'm just doing a quick finger press, just enough to get the ruler in there. I'm not agonizing about perfection at this. I'm not trying to make this cut perfect because once I iron it, it may line up a little bit differently. That's why I'm coming back. Once I iron it, I take a quick look at that. If it's still lined up fine, I will leave it, and I'm going to leave it. And then I just take off that. That section's ready to go. What did I hit there? Oh, just a little bit of thing that didn't get folded under last time. So now the really cool thing is, if you really want to go for cool effects, you can change colors every other color. You can do all sorts of other things. Add that one. Actually, I guess you can't. I think once you start this, because this piece here is a narrow wedge. So you're not, so if you want to change colors, you're going to have to like figure something. If you want to change colors, then you would have to find a different way to do it. I'll have to look that up. I will have to look that up. So anyway, oh, and anybody who was paying attention to Lisa's video on Saturday she was doing her readings and she noticed that Norma had a limp. Norma is feeling better. I spotted her this morning. Her feathers still look a little bit rough, but there's no limp. So she's doing better. That little thunking sound you heard was just the needle catching. The little thunk sound you heard, I was just right here where that little corner is, and you've got like a bunch of fabrics meeting up. It was just hitting a thick spot in the fabric. Sounded a little bit different. No big deal. Okay. I might as well iron that one straight out. It's not big enough to finish. Okay. This is actually a really simple project. I probably can get away with a lot. To be honest, I can probably get away with a lot in terms of being a little careless, being a little sloppy. I just am. Whenever I'm doing something that I haven't done for a while or haven't done before, I've done this before. I think. No, I've never done one of these before. So now this last piece needs to be bigger than this piece. So I got to go cut another piece. Yeah, 3 inches. 3 inches. I don't need that. Be right back. Oh, that's a little bigger, but that's okay. By the way, a little tip. If you are, okay, I'm working from a bolt. Okay, so I cut, then iron. And then I tidy up the sizing later if I need to. Because that's how a bolt works. You can't really iron it as you go. If you're working like you went and bought a quarter yard of fabric. So that means you get a 9-inch strip and you need blah out of that. Iron it first, then cut it. You'll get a much cleaner cut, and you won't have to fiddle with it. I always forget to mention that, just because I'm going to trim this one at. I'm still going to have to trim this, but it's my last piece. My last piece, I might as well. Now I'm debating. Obviously, pretty sides together. This is going a lot quicker than my one last night did. Oh my God, the one last night, it's like, it doesn't matter how simple the project is. The one last night took me like an hour and a half because you're never quite sure that you're getting everything quite right. You want to double check all your seams, make sure everything's lined up. I'm not pinning because I'm stupid, but don't forget, pin if you need to, pin if it suits your comfort. Double check as you go, because these folded seams are underneath. I want to make sure that they don't shift, and I have been checking. I just haven't been pointing that out to anybody. If you don't have a 1/4 inch foot, don't worry about the size. Don't worry about the size of your seam as long as it's a minimum of a 1/4 inch. If your favorite foot does a 3/8 inch seam, just take that into account and continue to line it up against the outside and don't worry about it. Okay, there we go. Let's go iron it. Ow. That is not fun when my bad knee scrapes against the fucking leg of the table. Okay. One thing, I don't know if you guys are noticing. No, you guys probably are not seeing it. One thing that I'm noticing already is that because of the excessive handling, not excessive, but as you handle it, it will start to fray. You can ignore those frays, or you can just come back and get those little threads as you go. Now I have to decide. I have a decision to make. I haven't squared this up yet. I'll come along and do that in a second. Okay, now I have to decide. Do I want this? There's the bottom. There's what it looks like right now. And I don't know if the black is overpowering or if the black helps. This is one of the reasons why I left it big, because it's like, well, I haven't done these types of projects before. What I'm doing, I'm going to come in. Come on. I'm going to be coming in and going around it in gray. And I don't know if it helps or hurts to leave the black wider. I haven't decided yet, because if I do that, you can kind of futz it around and get a general idea of what you're looking at. So if I do a wide band, I can do it just as wide. I can narrow this up so that it's only like an inch or so. I can make this a really, because that's what I did here. Well, okay, this one here I started with less, because I've worked with this particular. I have worked with this piece before. This is from a fabric that I've had for a while. I've worked with this piece before, so I already knew that if going narrow would be a sharper look. Because this here, right now, this here is about, yeah, right now this here is almost the same size as this. So do I go bigger? Or do I'm literally, help. Okay, you guys don't have to help. But anybody with an opinion, because if I go bigger, I can make it really big, or I can make it like narrow. I can make it nice. I think it would pop better if it was narrow. Yeah, I think I'm going to narrow it down. I think it pops better when it's narrow. If you have the fabric to spare, don't agonize. If you have the fabric to spare, this is the easier way to do it. Because if I do that, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it really changes much. I don't know if I want it big. Yeah, I think it does. I think it would look better if this was narrower. I'm gonna keep it bigger than I did on here. I'm gonna narrow it down to 2 inches. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my schmancy ruler, right? I'm gonna drop my 2 inch. Now on this one, the 2 inch line is dead center. I'm gonna drop the 2 inch line here, right there. I'm not gonna measure. I'm not gonna go to here and measure backwards by 2 inches, because this could be different, right? This could have shifted. So I'm going to drop my ruler. I'm going to drop my 2 inch line right there. Now that does mean, now 2 inch line, take off a 1/4. That means that this when it's done is going to be that wide. That piece that's under the ruler is going to disappear. So keep that in mind. Is that if you're doing it sloppy style like this, that if you want this to be exactly 1 inch, you have to cut it at 1 1/4 or 1 3/8, depending on how your foot works. So I'm cutting this at exactly 2 inches. Put my 2-inch line there. If I put my 2-inch line there, here, I'm going to get a much straighter, much more accurate cut. If I come in from the outside, then if anything, every now and again you sew, and every now and again you'll sew. I trimmed these afterwards, and I should have. Every now and again, you sew something together, and then this outside looks a little wavy. So you don't ever want to measure it from the outside unless you absolutely have to. So a 2-inch means I'm going to get a 1 3/4. It's still going to be wider than on that one. It's still going to be wider than on that one. So that's fine. I'm going to do the same thing with the black, though. I'm going to do the same thing with the black. I'm 45 minutes in. That's not bad. Time flies, though. It's kind of funny because every now and again, I can't really keep the scrap from this because I've only got a short piece, then the next piece. It's all connected to something else, right? By the way, I should have done this part first. If you want this to end up being, I'll probably do another one when I'm done. If this goes quickly, I might do a second one today. I've got the other piece. And I got nothing better to do today. I'm actually I'm taking a break. Not a break. I'm not taking a break from the shop. I just finished like 35 large bags that are going in this week. And I'm doing some 2-pocket bags this week. I'm taking a break from quilting now that I'm using the smaller machine because I haven't got as much space to roll my fabric up. So I'm taking a bit of a break, a pseudo break from quilting. So I did go ahead and cut 2 of these. So again, if you don't want to fuck around with the long pieces, then just measure it and go, 6.5 inches. And then you just cut a 6.5-inch piece, blah, blah, blah. I'm lazy, so I'm doing it my way. But anyway, if you want this to be, if you want this to be wider, then leave these pieces bigger, but trim this piece smaller. So if I were to trim off this and this, right, then it would start spreading this way. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, the only thing that I will suggest, is that this area here, this piece here, this section here is the small one. Everything else is different, right? It's entirely up to you. My personal preference is to not start the next round in the same spot, because then you're going to have 2 little ones side by side, and it just seems to create. I don't like the way it looks because you can tell, but we're also gonna make it irrelevant. So, thusly and therefore, so on this one here, on this outer rim, you're actually going to want to. It actually doesn't matter. Just a second. Just a second. Let me just actually get this sewn down first. I'm not bothering to backstitch because I'm basically cutting these off anyway. So I'm not backstitching. I can, but I'm starting off away from the bottom fabric. When I trim, I'm going to be cutting that stuff off. If that matters to you, then trim it to size, then sew it on. And if you ever do, like it's like, I love this. I'm making a set of 6. I'm doing whatever. Then then you know your measurements. You can just cut everything up in advance. Go from there. But yeah, I like this narrow piece to be up and away. We have to dust in here. I'm trying to realize that one of the problems that I'm having is that we're overdue on dusting. Sewing is a very dusty. There's a lot of dust and stuff that kicks up when you sew. If you do have issues with dust, keep that in mind. the gray here. I don't use gray. I don't use gray that much. I think this is a good match because it kind of matches the darker towards the center. I didn't necessarily have the correct match. This is an ever so you guys may not be even seeing this at all on the camera. Oh yeah, you can kind of see it now. The background. This is the roses. I don't think they're roses. They're not roses. They are all shades of gray, and in the background is a very, very, very like delicate pale purple. This is this gray has been I don't use gray very often, so the gray has been sitting around for a very long time. So I got dust to pick off of it as I go sometimes. Well, not dust, little bits of lit. I did, didn't I? I gotta get out my other pair of gloves. Yeah, I say I'm not back stitching, and then I back stitch immediately. So what should we talk about today? This is kind of like the repetitious stuff here. Actually, I'm not going to cut that just yet because I haven't decided how wide I want this to be, and there's no point in doing this twice. Lined up pretty good. That's just the corner that's sticking out. I might not trim this. I might not trim this at all. So again, where's my bottom? So my bottom is here, right? If I wanted to, I could just put the other side here, leave the top black. Or I could do this. I could like do this with like a 6-inch piece, right? I could do this with a large piece, like make it wider and have this wider, this narrower. There's so many ways to do it. I want this one to be round. Well, I don't have to keep it round. I don't have to keep it round. Ooh, I know what I'm going to do. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I thought I cut a whole one. Where'd it go? Did I throw it? There it is. I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to do. Every now and again, your stuff will just catch up on something. I'm not cutting anything. I'm just using the tip of my scissors as a push. Oh, you guys can't see it anyway. You guys can't see what just happened. Basically, the tail here got a little caught up, and the fabric started rolling forward it started rolling forward as I was sewing it. So I just straightened it out a little bit. The iron will take care of the rest. I don't have to pick stitches and start over. I'm just making sure that my seam is where it's supposed to be. So you just stop, hold everything in place, lift your foot, needle down, foot up, look under it, give it a little whatever you need to do. Don't forget, that's what your tweezers are for. Get under there, push things into place. That one shifts a bit. La la la. Lots of vertigo today. No, I don't want to do that. I want to fold it outwards first. I'm like, what am I doing wrong here? Like nothing. I want to get that cord out of the way, though. That would be... Oh, we can't use that camera. I want to get the other camera going again. And I will. We just keep forgetting. It's one of those things. It's only a $20. It's only like a $20 cord. No big deal. I mean, it's a business. For me, it's a business expense. So that's not a problem, but just better remembering to go do it. So if I'm really into tiny projects, look at that. I now have a 3-inch triangle that I can use for another project if that's what I want to do. I trimmed it without ironing it first. I will say that's to be expected. As you get confidence with doing a thing, as you gain confidence with doing a thing, you're going to start finding your own little shortcuts. And as long as the project works, and it will, then don't worry about it. That's one thing that I see. I don't see it a lot, but I see it. You have to do it this way or it's not going to work. It's like, yeah, whatever. As long as it works, I don't care how I do it. Now these ones here, because the gray and the black are so similar in color, I'm just continuing to push my seams outwards. Technically, like if this was a really pale color, then you'd want these seams to go inwards, but it is easier if you keep all your seams in one direction. There we go. Because I have my last little bit here. Iron it down. Get that out there. Doesn't matter. Like I said, it doesn't matter if things get. You can iron and re-iron and iron again. That part does not matter. I'm being really careful about it right now. This is the second one that I've made. Oh, that's got a center seam. I'm going to give it another blast. I'm also going to fill up my iron. I'm going to show you guys what I do, because I will say that dragging your entire, they always have little bottles. I just keep a water bottle. I just fill this up from the sink, keep it full, keep it handy. I kind of know that's not very full. I don't need to go crazy filling it to the absolute top, because I keep my water source really handy. I just keep that there. It's worth showing because a lot of people, if they don't already have a bottle, if they don't already have something to pour the water with, or haven't really, you just don't. Sometimes you just don't think of it if nobody mentions it. You sometimes just don't even realize it's a thing. But I find it to be a lot more convenient to do that than to try and fiddle my hot iron into the sink and fill it up directly. And I don't really want running water. If there's a problem with that, I've spilled a few drops of water on my iron. If I'm trying to fill it up at the sink, I could be running like a lot of water over my iron, and I really don't want to get electrocuted. So what works really well is restaurant bottles. Those little like the ketchup bottles you used to get in those picnic sets and stuff. They, anything with a spout on it. But I do not run to the sink. I will not fill my iron at the sink. And my baby iron, when I use that, I just don't use the steam. Right back. Nope, not going to be right back. Going to be over here. Now we'll be right back. Last one. Okay, technically this is going to be, well, not done. I still have to quilt it and finish it that way. And like I said, pin it, clip it, do whatever works for you. Once you get the hang of these straight lines, it just gets faster. And once you get the hang of the straight lines, you'll find yourself pinning less and less, or you might be the opposite. You might, I mean, everybody has their own thing, right? You might find yourself, as you get more and more practice, using more pins, and that's entirely up to you. We're here to enjoy ourselves, not to gatekeep a process. Okay. Ba-doo, 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 ba-doo. I'm just going to stop this. Oh, I'm going to turn this right quick. Okay. Just think about this for a second. If I do that. Okay. Now, yeah, see, I've got one right here. I don't know if you guys are even going to be able to see this. Let me see how close I can get and see if you guys can spot this. When you come along here, okay, when you look here, this has ever so slightly a bit of a wave to it. Nothing that matters. It does not matter. But if I decide that it matters, yeah, you guys can kind of see it. You can kind of see it now, where when you get up to the very end, that sticks out just a tiny bit more than it does down here, right? Which is again why I'm saying if I were to line up that, if I were to line up my ruler along that piece there, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but that the black almost touches on that side, and it's clearly not touching up here. Hi, Kaz. Oh, early morning chores, fun stuff. So again, when you're trimming, trim against this. Now I'm just going to trim. I'm going to trim further out anyway today. Right now, right this minute, I'm trimming further out because I just want to. I want to look at what I've got. This is my bottom. That needs to be pressed a little bit more. Just a second. Okay. So that's my bottom, because that's the little stem that's coming out the bottom. So I know that that's my bottom. I know I can get away with making any side my bottom, right? Now I've got a couple of choices here. I gotta blow my nose right quick. I'm getting itchy again. That's better. Oh, that's why. Okay, right back. There we go. Okay, so this is my bottom. This is my bottom. This is the complete octagon, right? So that's the complete octagon. Now I have a couple of decisions to make, because what I can do is keep going I can keep going. I can put a piece, I can put more black. I can go bigger. Okay, so I can go bigger by going around one more time in black, and I can make it fairly narrow if I want to, right? Because I made that one narrow, right? I added it, then I made it narrower. Or I can go here, here. I can go here and here. Let me see if I can get that. There you go. I can go here and here on this side. Then go here and here. And I can make it longer. And I could just leave the top alone. I could leave the top and bottom alone and go wider. I got to visualize something here. Pardon me. Now, what I would do, what I think I might do, no, I don't know if I want to do it or not. I don't know if I want to go wider or just finish it. I can go wider and make it really bold, but then that makes that really tiny. And this is where I'm thinking of, because this is not, if this was a big bright pop in the center, I might feel different about it. I don't know. I need some help. I think I'm just going to leave it for now. Make it nice and round. Round is good. People like round. You better like round. I'm telling you, you like round. But anyway, so I can go here, 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 here. I can build out straight to the sides. You know what it is? I'm being lazy. I'm being lazy because I know if I build out to the sides, I know I have to cut another piece. Because I have that one. Then I have that one. I have to cut another piece. I'm going to leave it. 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 I can get schmancy. I can get schmancy. Yeah, I like it both ways too. It's like I said, that's the bottom here. The only thing that I can't do, like I said, where this will matter, where top and bottom, now that it's completely round, where top and bottom matters is if I'm going to make it wider. I could make it taller and I could go taller and make it a hanging, right? But I think I'm just going to stop. I'm going to stop here. You know what? I'm going to stop here. I'm going to get that. I'm going to get this under the pile though, because I'll lose it. I'm going to stop here because I already have a piece. Now this is flannelette. So it is going to be, I have to turn my back for a second again. Okay, I gave the flannelette a quick ironing. This is the same material that diapers are made of. This is diaper flannel. I gave it a quick ironing because I didn't give it a quick ironing to make it perfect. You can still see a slight bit of wrinkling here and there. I didn't give it the ironing to make it perfect or anything like that, but I gave it the quick little ironing because it's been sitting in a pile and I do not want an actual thing. So now I need to trim. Now that I know what I'm doing. 3 inches it's ever so slightly less than 3 inches. So I'm going to swing it back to 2. I'm going to go back to 2 3/4 inches, and I'm going to put that 2 3/4 line right here. Now, one thing that you have to remember is that you will be binding this. If your binding matters, then you want to, if your binding matters, then you want to plan for that. I'm going to be binding. I'm doing my usual self-binding technique, and I'm doing it in black. Oh, see now this is fine. This is a little tiny bit off right there, but this is a little tiny bit off right there. But I already know how my self-binding technique works. Wait a second. Let me just double check that. 2 3/4. Yeah, it's off a tiny bit, but it won't matter. It's a little bit less than 2 3/4 right here, but because of the way I'm binding it, it won't show as long as I remember to pay attention to it. And don't forget, you have You can mark it with some chalk. You can mark it with some you can mark it with all sorts of things to make sure you don't forget, to make yourself aware of that section if that's what you need to do. Like I could just come back with my friction marker and just go like put a few little strokes right there on the spot, so I know not to try and sometimes you see a spot and you want to like push. Oh, I have to fix that. It's got to go down to 2.5. This is definitely not going to work. This is off by more than that. I wonder what I think I cut these a little tiny differently. I'm going to swing back and do these at 2.5. That one there is not, it's only going to be off by 1/8 of an inch, but I can be a perfectionist, so why not, right? And again, 2.5 inch mark goes right there so that I am making the straightest line possible on the outside. Don't worry. Okay, don't worry if this, can you see it? Don't worry if this section here is a little off or whatever. As long as this section here where the black and the gray meet is lined up, because something that's a little tiny bit off where similar colors are meeting isn't going to affect anything. 2.5. And again, if you want that oblong look, this is also your chance to like take that down to like super tiny. Do whatever works. I picked bigger pieces than I needed because I wasn't 100% sure. Now, what I would do too, though, and keep this in mind, like I said, if you decide that you're going to go in business and make these, because my God, go for it, they're gorgeous. You decide that you're going to go in business and make these. The first thing you're going to do is keep track of all your final dimensions, so that you have sizes to work with. Make notes. Do it in whatever way makes sense to you, but make notes. That's what I did. And then I went and got templates made. And then I went and started making my bags. And then I went and started making money. Okay. I never marked my beginnings, so I'm just double checking. Okay, this has to be good enough. Okay. Now, the big mistake, the big stupid that I just did. I had an extra piece in case I needed it. What I should have done, don't do what I just did. What I should have done before I started cutting everything up, I should have laid it out on here. So this is just diaper flannel. It's not, diaper flannel is thin. You're not gonna get that super padded effect that you get with regular batting. Like, I'll show you in a second. I'm gonna rough cut. I'm giving myself like I'm giving myself some space, and I'm just gonna rough cut. Be really careful when cutting towards yourself. I do as I say, not as I do. Okay, so I have a piece of batting. Well, that's the big piece. I just want a little guy. Give me a little guy. Okay. So this is regular batting. And you can see how thick it is, right? And this is diaper flannel, and you can see how thin that is. This is going to have a layer. It's going to have a layer of padding to give it structure. The cool thing about diaper flannel, it doesn't tear. Whereas this stuff here tears. And I can just add I can at this point just add my backing. I can just take this and bind it and be done with it. I do not have to quilt this. I'm going to, but I don't have to. So yeah, what you should do is line these up and then trim, because then you have a perfect match. But I'm going to I'm not super stretching my bad. I'm not super stretching the flannel underneath. I'm tugging it lightly because then if there's any wrinkles or if it's managed to fold on itself or anything like that, this is a small enough piece that I can just turn it over, which is fine too. But sometimes when you're working with a bigger piece, turning it over just doesn't work. So we're just going to put one in the middle. Okay, I already know what I'm doing for my quilting step. So I'm just going to put the pins in so that I can ignore them. So I can just leave them as I work. So I'm going to put one in each corner. And again, keep in mind that this, I am not, okay, one of the reasons why I'm choosing flannel, and you can use multiple layers. If you want the same thickness that batting provides, use 3 or 4 layers, use 5 layers, use as many layers as your sewing machine can handle. This is actually more expensive than batting because batting is like, okay, like flannel is like $10 a yard, right? Oh, okay. Well, you have fun, Michelle. Come back later and see how. Okay. Well, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. Before you go, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. I'm going to give this one away. So make sure you swing back later to leave a comment if you want to win it, so that I can add your name to the draw. We'll do a draw, like maybe we'll do it on Friday before we start that chat. But I'm gonna give this one away. I might as well. This is still my learning process. If I decide to start doing this for the shop, I still have to finalize stuff. So yeah, come back. Basically, once the chat is done, it will, once the video is done, it will process, and sometimes that can take 4 or 5 hours. But once it's fully processed, then the comments, whenever the comments become available, swing back in. But if you can't comment right away, it's just that it's still processing. YouTube takes its own sweet time. Anyway, so extra pins if you want them. Here. Okay, you take your pins out as you go. If you just want to pin it once and not have to screw around with it, but basically, I might as well pin. So what I should have done is this step. I should have done this step and then trimmed all my edges, right? Because then once this is, okay, let me back up. If I cut the flannel first, and then if I cut the flannel and this separately, and then try to match them together, there's a really good chance that something's not quite going to line up. Just because, yay, right? You have a good day, Michelle. I think she's already gone. If she's smart, she's already gone. My God, I take so long to say goodbye. So ideally you're gonna cut both of these at the same time. And guess what happens when you cut 2 fabrics together? They kind of stick to each other. Kinda. It's hard to describe. They pop up. It's like, you see that sometimes if you cut 2 pieces of paper together too. Sometimes they're a little sticky to each other. So doing this step at the same time as the trimming to size step is actually easier. Let's get that pin back a little bit. Watch your pins. Make sure that they're not sticking over your edges. And then you can cut. You can obviously do that. You can obviously do this without your pins in place, but my pins have flat little heads, so they lay down nicely and don't get in the way of me using my ruler. As long as, like I said, as long as they're not so far forward that the tip of the pin is off of the fabric. Okay. I love making these little projects. And if you end up screwing up like this, it is a opportunity to make sure that every now and again the ruler slips, right? Make sure that something didn't slip out of place and that everything stays where it's supposed to be. By the way, I'm also double checking and making sure that my 2.5-inch line is back here. I'm lining up my ruler with this because I already know that it's supposed to be a straight line, right? But just to be sure, I'm also lining up back here as well. That way, like I said, if anything did shift, I can do something about it. So there's that. Now, I got to go cut some fabric right quick. Right quick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this with me. I'm going to lay it over my fabric because I haven't measured anything for that yet. Okay. La la la. I'm back. I'm not yet back. Come on, where'd you go? Okay, I'm going to give this a quick iron. By the way, I haven't given. Yeah, this works out really nice. Like I said, this is an ever so slightly purple in the center. It's hard to describe. This is one of those. It's one of those shades of purple that goes really well with gray. It mixes. Yeah. So this is my thing. Okay, now. And I'm just going to shift the pins. This is really easy. Just hold everything in place, pop the pin out, put the pin back, and pin it down. I am doing a 1 inch all the way around. I'm gonna do a 1 inch. So as long as you have at least 1 inch on either side, you're good to go. Quilting pins work here too, obviously. I was really not careful, but I know that I'm not sewing right over this corner, so that's why I placed the pins the way I did. I should go through the center. The one pin in the center the one pin in the center doesn't really need to be in the center, but I'm going to be sewing all through these edges here, so I really don't want things to shift. Yeah, that one's already done. This is the last one. Okay, so just shift the pin. Now, I'm just going to bring this out here. So now this one here, I don't know if you guys can't see that. Yeah, you guys can see this a little bit here. There's a little bit of wrinkling here. There's a little, it's puckered here and here. It sticks up a little bit, which means I didn't put the pin in correctly. Let's try it again. Wow, there we go. Now it's nice and flat. It doesn't have to be perfect. It really doesn't. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my friction pen. I'm not, this is going to be a really cool effect. And you already saw it on this. Okay. This here is just my lines. These are not separate pieces. This is just my sewing lines. Oh, get away from there. Okay. So, I can turn. Oh no, I'm leaving my, no, I'm not. I'm leaving my iron off. I think. I will decide in a minute. Okay, so all I'm doing, there's two pieces of fabric that met here. Then there's my black line here. And then this is a solid piece of fabric, right? So what I'm doing, because these are little details that can just, now this is a friction pen. So this means that when I'm done, I just iron it and the pen lines will disappear. If you don't want to screw around with that and your fabric will take it, you can use, this is a chalk marker, but it's not very visible. I won't be able to see it very well. Anything that you want to mark your fabric with. Yeah, I also have a chalk roller that lays down a nice line of chalk that's really easy to see. But if you don't, make sure that whatever you're using to mark your fabric can be removed. That's the punchline. Okay, now I've got 2 layers here. So I'm also going to go here. I'm measuring along this line. Obviously the black, I won't see anything there. You're going to, okay, when you're going through darker colors, you're going to have to trust yourself to maintain your straight line. But once I get stitching here, I'll just line it up to there and then I should be fine. So now I'm going to go off the top. There's no stitching here. Now, I don't know if it's me or whatever, but I feel like this step really makes the project, which is why I'm harping on it a little bit, but because not all of these stitched lines are now going to be, all of these lines where 2 fabrics are together are going to be hidden. They're there. You're not going to not know they're there, but basically this is part of a quilting technique called stitching in the ditch. So I am just stitching in all the ditches and I'm extending my ditches. Oh, this is interesting. I knew that it was possible, depending on the size of your fabric. This one here at the top is going to crisscross, and I don't know how close to the edge is that. It's that should be just at the edge. It might not quite be visible. So I'm just, oh, I didn't get that one. Just remember that if you do use a friction marker, if you do decide that you're going to use a friction marker for this effect, don't iron it until you're done. Because the minute you iron, well, okay, you'll just have to stop and put the marks back on. But the minute you expose this to enough heat, it is going to heat. This is a heat erase marker. So double check with yourself and make sure you're done with ironing and touching up or whatever, because you might get all this done and go, oh, that looks like a wrinkle. I want to give that a quick shot with the iron to make sure. You don't want to, last thing you want to do is iron in a wrinkle. Oh, and these lines are going to be almost exactly 2 inches apart. And again, like I said, this is the reason why I chose the flannel, was because then I don't have to, if I were using regular batting, I would have to sew something through the center to hold this in place, and I didn't want to sew the center at all. And yes, I'm giving this one away. So I think last time all I did was grabbed a some slips of paper and just pulled names from a hat. We're all a friendly bunch here, so that's fine. Okay. I should mark that. No, I don't. Okay. I don't have to mark this because that's where a sew line is. It's really easy to see from my angle. So now I've got a nice straight line to follow. You can eyeball it, or you can do it any way that you want. This is actually, like I said, I cannot remember the last time I did any sort of an octagon project. So the more you do, the quicker it goes. But this is actually pretty easy because you do your center, make sure it's nice and straight. Do the next line out, make sure it's nice and, I straightened all this up before I moved on, did this, straightened it up, added my backing, and I'm done. It's not a hugely difficult, this is actually not a difficult project. The binding is a bit of a pain in the ass, but it's fine. So let me get over here and get ready for the sewing. Now this is, oh, there's my headphones over there, listening to tunes earlier. So this is pretty basic. By the way, if you are going to use these types, if you are going to switch out on your feet for different projects, always double check, because I broke a needle already. I broke a needle already on this machine because what I did was I was using the straight foot, right? And then I wanted to switch over and do a decorative stitch. Or no, I forget what I was doing anyway. I get the, hey Blue, I get everything lined up, and then immediately, I got to get gloves on. I got everything lined up. This guy has no, this guy here has a very, very, very teeny tiny hole for the needle. So a decorative stitch tries to pop up and immediately snaps the needle. Yep, and I was trying to break needles on purpose, couldn't do it. Look at that. Look at that. Enjoy it while you can. Enjoy it while you can. Fresh, clean gloves. The other, I didn't throw away the other pair. The other pair are fine. They definitely need to be washed. See if I can get some of that staining off. They're in the laundry now. Basically, what I've discovered is I have one good pair and one not so good pair. These, I don't know if they're rubberized. They're rubberized. I have this lovely, lovely thing. I have this lovely, lovely thing where my skin gets really super dry. So I need to wear the gloves. But if I wear too heavy of a glove, then my hands get super, super sweaty. And then that feels like a completely different problem. So yeah, so there's no mark that I can see going from here to here. So leap of faith, just take my time. Now for this, I'm trying to keep most of my stitching in the ditch. It's okay if it's not perfectly in the ditch, right? I'm trying to make sure that anything that misses the ditch is going to go onto the black, because then it won't be visible. So I've got like a millimeter wide slot here, and I'm keeping the fabric lined up on this side. I'm keeping my fabric lined up on that side of the slot so that the needle stays on. Yeah. Now don't forget though, sometimes depending on what you're doing, you might want people to see that stitching. You might want to be just ever so off in one direction so that people can see it. And what happens when you're stitching in the ditch is that you're making sure that seam allowance doesn't move. Once it's sewn down, the seam allowance won't move. Yeah, another quick little thunk there as it hits the edge. I mean, hits the seam allowance area. Totally fine. Tiny back stitch. Oh, whenever I have a new pair of these gloves, they're great, but they're a little stickier than, obviously, once they kind of act like I don't know what you want to call it, but you don't need to go crazy with your back stitching here. You don't need to back stitch at all if you don't want to, because don't forget, you're going to be folding this over and making your binding. So you're starting under where the binding is going to be. Again, a nice flathead pin. So I can just go right over it. Stitch in the ditch. Now I'm going to line up my ditch so that if it's going to miss, it's going to hit on the black on that side. And don't forget, when you're doing your stitching in the ditch, you're going to miss. Not miss. You're going to end up with it on the side that you don't want it on. Nobody knows, nobody cares, as long as it's nice and close. So just focus on keeping it close to the ditch. And if you end up outside of the ditch, it's not going to change. It's not going to affect anything. go. A couple of little back stitches. That side is done. Turn it. Which way you turn it is entirely up to you. There's no rules on that, but I will say that if you turn it, if you keep turning it counterclockwise, then you'll keep the narrowest part in the throat and the wider part stays out of the way. Yes, that pin is going to not be your friend. Just keep an eye, just be aware that it's there. You can take it out. You don't have to have this pin in place. I prefer it. And depending on what you prefer, you could have like pins everywhere. It's whatever works for you. I can go a lot faster than this on this machine, but I find that when I'm doing stitch in the ditch that it's easier for me if I slow down. I can go faster now because I'm just going over. I'm just making a line now. So as long as it's straight, it doesn't have to be perfect. But once I'm actually at those ditches, I try to be really careful. Okay. Oh, back up a little bit. Oh. I don't know if you guys can see this yet, but you see the, whoops, now you're not going to be able to see anything. My lighting is so different right now. You're starting to see the black showing up. Those black lines really creates a stunning effect. Whoop, look at the mess. Look at my mess. It's bad. It's bad. I'm a slob. I know it. Okay, do. Your first crossover is happening. This machine's really nice though, because when I hit the backup button, if I just hit round will be better. What do you mean round? What do you mean? What do you mean? I mean keeping it round instead of going for the angles, for the wide cloth? Yeah, pretty much. The more creative, Blue is giving me way too much credit. She says the more creative a person is, the messier they are because their priority is whatever they are working on. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's, yeah. And it's funny because we're going to be seeing Dawn and Kevin. Dawn from Boho Tarot, she's coming, her and her husband are coming up for a visit, and we're going to be seeing them. She's allergic to dust. Like, I am like, it's you, whatever. I'm more irritated by dust. She's allergic to it. So I actually have to clean my house. I actually have to clean my house and get the dust up. But it's going to be a fun visit, so. I forget when they're coming up. In a few weeks. I think I would normally be a little quicker at this part. I think I'd normally be doing it a lot quicker if I had more, if I'd had more recent practice. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's going to be a fun time. It's going to be a fun time. It was fun last time we went down to see them. When was that? Newts. I think that was for not Newts this year, the year before. Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen each other. I mean, we don't live that far away, but getting together with people who live in a different country several hours away, it's a process arranging time to get together. Then they're going to be seeing each other again in January. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. 2 here. Yeah. Back when I was doing more of this, I was a lot faster at getting these straight lines in. Because don't forget, well, I go, okay, basting and stuff like that. I'm very quick at basting. No question that I can sew a straight line quickly. But in basting a bag, because it's the basting step and it's going to get flipped and nobody's going to see it, it's a lot easier to be a little careless on stuff like that. If a stitch goes a little wonky, nobody's going to notice, nobody's going to care, and it's not going to affect the final product. It's kind of like the difference between it's kind of the difference between a framing carpenter, that's the guy who just does the rough work, and the guy who does the actual really, really super high-end stuff in your kitchen. But anyway, I can go faster for these sections because I'm not. The sections that I'm worrying the most about are the ones that go right into here, and when I'm here and I don't want it to go off in the wrong direction. But I like doing these once in a while. And don't forget, I'm giving this one away. I know at least one person just kind of recently wandered in. I'm doing a giveaway on this. We'll draw for it like on Friday or something, and not worry too much about life. Just make sure you come back. Make sure you come back after the video is processed and just leave in the comments that you'd like to win it, so that I know that to add your name to the list. I'll probably just do names from a bucket like I did before. Do it on, I guess I'll draw. Yeah, I guess I can do the draw on Friday. Does that give everybody time? I know for some of you guys, it's like, I'm not sure if I'm going to remember to come back. And it's like, I don't want anybody to miss out. I don't want any of you guys to miss out. I don't advertise this anywhere else. So you're not going to be coming back to compete with 400 other people who might want it. If word gets out, I can't control that, but I want this stuff to go to the people that are like actually hanging out with me. During COVID, that was a thing. People would, I don't know if it still is a thing. I really don't know if it still is a thing. During COVID, it was a thing that, everybody's stuck at home. So they're hanging around on the internet, and then they go look up on YouTube for free or win or whatever, and just start entering contests for channels they did, and not just tarot. Yeah, I got to go to bed. It's 2 after midnight here, working in the morning. So bye, Peggy and everyone. See you next time. See you, Free Spirit. You have a good day tomorrow. Don't forget, come back. By morning, this should be completely processed. The chat is not available until the video is fully processed. Usually, sometimes they prioritize you, sometimes they don't. I have seen it take up to 24 hours, but come back, drop your name in the comments so that I know to come and add you to the list. But yeah, it used to be a really big thing. It happened to us us. I keep saying us, but Lisa. It happened to Lisa a couple of times. Oh, I'm giving away this deck, and this was back. God, well, COVID was 2020, right? So it's like 4 years ago. Oh, blah blah blah. I'm having a giveaway. And it's all done. It's all done. So she'd be like, oh, I'm having a giveaway. And suddenly she's got hundreds of people. Oh, I'd love to win that. And it's like, well, wait a second. Wait a second. This video was not that popular. What the hell? It's because people go online, look up the word free, and then just enter contests for shit. So people, there's always going to be a certain amount of people that will do that. That's why I don't care if somebody, if this is your first time stopping by and there's a contest. Oh, but she's not going to let me. And it's like, no, that's not it. I don't want somebody who has no intention of watching the video or hanging out or doing whatever. I don't want those people. No, it got to be a thing. That's why for a really long time in tarot land. Okay. I'm going to leave my pins in for a minute. Actually, I'm going to leave my pins in because if I take my pin out while I'm doing that, this could shift and I could end. By the way, if that's an effect that you like, then just trim that before you start doing it. If I leave the pin out, this could shift away from where I want it, and I can definitely get the pin out at any point. And again, make sure the pins are away from the edge. And I'm going to do 1 inch all the way around. I'm going to start at a corner. It'll make it easier. Having scrap, if you plan on doing small projects, is not a big deal. But if that matters to you, be aware that this, well, I mean, you're still going to end up with a beautiful project out of it. But this is not difficult. This is not a difficult project to do. It really isn't. It's pretty simple. Lots and lots of straight lines, and you can pick stuff. You can put, it's your project, right? If you want to not have to worry about this, you don't have to do this. You can come through and do a swirly through the whole thing, and that's fine. You do not have to do it this way. I just wanted you guys to see. I wanted you guys to see what happens if you do this. You get a really cool hatch effect. And I make all of this. I'll show you guys in a second. I make all of this with Tarot World in mind. I really do. And a lot of people like to do their readings, but they also like to take photos. And sometimes this is okay. Not everybody. Yeah, it's easy. You know what? It is what it is. Okay, so now what I've got here is I got one spot where I missed the ditch. Look at that. You're not going to notice. Unless you're looking for it, you're not going to notice. You're not going to care. Where's my bottom? There we go. There's my bottom. You're not going to notice, and you're not going to care. You are not going to notice that little miss. And oh no, absolutely, Linda. Don't worry about when you post it. I'm just letting you guys know that you have to wait for the video to go. If you have to come back tomorrow, that's totally fine. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to move some stuff because I'm going to be doing a bit of iron. I'm going to be ironing as I go, and there's no point. Let's see. Let's get that over there. My God, I've got way too many toys. I really do. But yeah, so once the video has had a chance to process, comments will become available, and then comments might be available right now for all I know. To be honest, I never freaking remember to check. Okay, so what we're going to be doing. Oh, that's what's going on. Hey, Sheila, what's my puppy doing? I'm just going to leave that there. I was going to say something. Oh, yeah. So for contests and stuff like that, that is why during COVID, most people who were doing giveaways were like, here's a code word. Where the hell did my scissors go? I own 437 pairs of scissors, and do you think I can find the ones I need? Oh, there you go. This is my good scissors ugly cousin because it doesn't always cut very well. I thought I just found something. Okay. Well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, so that's why during COVID people were doing code words and stuff because people are stuck at home, they're bored, they're looking for something to do, and so they're literally just looking around for contests, which is not a problem. But it's not a problem if you're like Nike giving away a pair of shoes because they don't care. But it's like, oh man, I really want somebody who is in the community. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this. Do you see the stitching? Okay. So a lot of people, the reason why I started doing, that was the other piece. The reason why I started doing two-sided tarot mats, the reason why all of my tarot cloths or mats are reversible, because people would say, I want something really nice to do my reading on, but if I want to take a photo, I want something that's going to take a photo. So now this, you take your photo and you're going to get a hexagon pattern in your stitching around it. See that? I don't think a lot of people really knew that about COVID because, okay, here's the thing. As it's not worth losing sleep over. It really okay, now, you know what? For some channels, for some people, they were losing a shit ton of sleep over it. And that I didn't get, but it's like, well, at the same time, I want to make sure I want to maximize the chance that actual viewers are going to win this and not just some bored person looking for something to do, which I don't blame them for wanting to do that. But so what I'm going to do, I'm going to be folding this over and then folding it over again, right? But because it's my first time doing this, in order to get a nice straight line on this, I'm going to fold it in half first. Oh, this is going to be awkward. That's okay. I'm going to fold it in half first, then do this because now I've got a nice crisp line to line everything up against. Now, I'm still going to do the thing. If I notice any phrase, if they're not worth cutting off, I'm just going to tuck them in. Now, the one thing I have to be careful of, these are just cheap little plastic heads on my pins, so you don't want remove your pins if you must. You don't want your iron to touch those pins. I've got a few little loose threads here. No, I'm not going to use those scissors. I don't like them. Those scissors are only for emergency. There they are. Oh my God. I literally spun around. I swear to God, I've got a ghost in this house. I spun around twice looking for these scissors. They weren't there. I just spun around again and there they were. Okay, so yeah, during COVID, it was during COVID. Like, I mean, we were all going crazy, bouncing off the walls. Some people got more upset about it than others, but that is why most smaller communities, it wasn't just the tarot community. Most smaller communities just started going, oh, hey, use the code word block. And like I said, if somebody like there's people that only catch me. There's people that only watch me for a few minutes once or twice a month if I'm lucky, and that's fine. I don't care about that. But at least do me the courtesy of having a marginal interest, right? Okay, so I'm actually using the red marker line. Okay, I've already taken the center pin out, by the way, in case anybody is keeping track. There's my pin cushion. No, I swear to God, I've got a friendly little poltergeist that just moves things on me for a few minutes, and then they come back. Couldn't find my glasses the other day. Looked around, came back. They were right where I thought I'd left them in the first place. Okay. Well, that's just that. Okay. So normally you guys have watched me do this where I just take this and go blip blip and fold it and get on with my day. The only reason why I'm ironing it is because this is coming in at an angle. It's not the end of the world and it's not that difficult, but I'm out of practice. So I am just tucking it in nice and straight. Oh, I wonder if I can set that there. I am tucking it in nice and straight, but I do find that if you're ironing it onto your fabric, if you're ironing it onto your piece, iron it all the way, and then the rest of it, and then fold it in, seems to make a big difference. But that's just me. Your mileage may differ. Your type, your particular flavor and brand of hand-eye coordination just might not work with that. I will say too, okay, I am not that heat proof to get the iron that close. One nice effect of this glove, of these little rubber tip gloves, is you can get a little closer. I can feel the warmth, but it's not the same. It's not the same. Oh my God, this is horrible. Get this heat away from me. I know I'm getting a steam bath right now, so that might not be feeling good after a while. But anyway. So I don't know if I can get in close enough. So this is what we're working with here. There it is. This is not a 90-degree turn. So I haven't been doing it. I'm just leaving this part alone. I'm leaving that part alone. I'm starting here, backing up a little tiny bit to go off of it, and then doing my straight line. I'm leaving that here. I'm leaving that alone because this is not a project. This is not something that's meant to go through the wash and stuff like that, where it's going to make a big difference. And once I get a little bit more practice, and confidence here with binding at these wonky ankles, I will probably stop ironing this down. Yeah, keep in mind. So when you're deciding how you want your colors to line up, always count your binding. Always count your binding. Even if, okay, this is self binding, right? So it's matching the back, which is the exact same colors here. But keep in mind that when you're designing these projects, keep in mind whatever color or width or style of your backing you're going to want. I mean, of your binding. I could also do regular binding, or I could do I could have done a gray back. I could have just done this gray on the back, and then the binding wouldn't really show up at all, which can be a nice effect. And go all the way. I'll bring it over and show you. So don't just stop sewing here. Sew all the way to the end, because that will hold it in place for your next corner. Sewing, if I don't hold this, if I stop sewing here, then when I fold this up, that could pop open, and then it would be really, it wouldn't wreck anything, I guess, but it would be really annoying to work with. I know this from experience, right? There we go. By the way, the reason why the black is still there is not because of the pen line. I use black thread intentionally to create this effect. If you don't want that effect, then you can just go all the way around with black, all the way around with black, and then finish it. There's plenty of ways to finish that up. A little light finger pressing will help hold everything in place. You don't have to agonize. I'm agonizing because I want to practice agonizing. I want to practice getting these perfect. Just doing the end, just doing the corner right now. It's just wanting to pop up on me, and I don't want to continue doing that. There we go. My new glove. You can set your iron down and do a thing, but just keep in mind that you've only got to, depending on your iron, you may only have a few seconds before you're risking scorching your fabric. So make sure you know what your iron will and won't do for you. Okay. Next one. Yeah, usually I'm way more zippy than this, but that's okay. So I'm backing up off of that seam and then going back over that seam, really pinning that down in the corner. There's just loose threads to cut through here because that's where my back stitching was. tuck that in. Oh, geez, it's already 4 o'clock. It is already 4 o'clock, my God. All the way to the end. You don't really have to okay, you have to back stitch up at that end. You have to back stitch up at this end because you need to tack it down, but you don't really have to back stitch at this end because you're just going to fold it under. Yeah, I'm really I'm overworking these edges for sure because this is not normally how I do it, but I don't normally iron these at all. I just go. A tiny bit of that. If I were turning my back on you guys every 40 seconds, it'd probably be a little less fiddly to do this, but then there's no point in me being live here. I want to travel to you because it's 7 p.m. here. Yeah, that's okay. Where's here? 7 p.m. It is 4 p.m. here. Oh, are you in New Zealand? I'm really bad with names and places, and I swear to God, if everybody came with a name tag, I would be a name tag. You remember from New York, you're in New York. Oh, right. I was going in the opposite direction. Sorry. If I were in charge of the zoo, everybody would come with a name tag that gave their name. In the case of online, their real, not necessarily their real name, but their screen name, the name they prefer to go by when not on screen. I don't know that age would matter. Location, just something. I swear to God, I've asked the same people the same question over and over again, and I'm sure that some of you guys are looking at me right now going, Peg, yeah, I have answered this question for you 300,000 times. What the fuck is wrong with you? My shitty memory. You know what? We've all got a shitty memory when it comes to something, and we don't get to pick what that something is. We can't say water like Boston. Water. It's water. You want some water? I don't know if I'm saying it right. Stevie's daughter, Amelia, made me a video explaining how I'm saying water wrong. Because Stevie and Amelia are in Scotland. So I sometimes find Scottish accent hard to understand, but then again, you can be like that with any accent. But yeah, they say it a lot like Boston to me. That's what it sounds like to me. Doesn't mean that's what it is. Or no, in Boston, how did Amelia pronounce it? Wa'a. So you kind of and skip the T sound altogether. Boston is like water. Like, what are you doing? We kind of say it where I kind of say it water, like WADDER. Like as if there's 2 D's in it. I know how to say water. I know how to say it. Then again, that's like anybody, right? I know how it's supposed to be said. I just never do. Almost done. Take that pin out because I can now. Okay. I don't know why I backstitched. You don't need to. Okay. Now there is a super schmancy, super exciting, and I'm not going to fucking do it. There is a way to pick the stitches. Okay, so basically this is going over the top, right? And it's pointing up. This is also going to point up because this is the last one, right? That's also going to point up. There is a schmancy ass way to do it where you pick this out and then do this weird. I have a binder with dividers A to Z. Whatever personal info I get from conversations, I include it. So when we talk again, it seems like I have a photographic memory and person feels special. You know what? I know more than one person who does that. A friend of ours that used to live in town. She actually moved away, but she kept a notebook. She kept a notebook on names and just general information about people that she appreciated but didn't know very well, to make sure that she didn't forget. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I know that if I had the wherewithal, I don't know if that would help me or not. Okay. Oh, hi, how you doing? Let me get my I did it professionally. Yeah, absolutely. I would just never remember to reference it. That's my problem. I remember detail. Usually, you know what it is for me? Usually I just need a small reminder and then I'm like, oh, and then everything clicks. But without that small reminder, but yeah, we're all special in our own way. And my memory is, there we go. Now, sometimes this very last one, I don't know how to describe this. Okay, sometimes this very last one can be a pain in the ass. And the reason why it's a pain in the ass is because this is one end, because I guess I just finished. So this is extra thick and this is extra thick. So while one's going down, 608. Oh, Kentucky, I bet you it's nice there. Every time I've ever seen a photo of any place in Kentucky, I'm like, oh, I want to go to Kentucky. I'm kind of fascinated with Kentucky because every time I've seen anything, it's just so beautiful. Don't know why. Not to diss Kentucky or anything about it, but I don't know why Kentucky. I just don't know why. Maybe I lived there in a past life. I don't know. So sometimes when you're doing your very last one, it's helpful to get clips in or pins in, because this is stiff. They're both trying to pop back out, and neither one really wants to go into place. I'm not gonna iron this one because it's already so well pinned down that I don't need to worry about it. You still got to take your pin out just as you're about to put your thing on the thing. And you can pin instead of ironing to get everything in place. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I'm overworking these edges because it's been a long time since I've worked with anything but your very standard 90-degree corners. And I want to make sure I get it right. I don't know that I've got that one over there. Where is it? I got the one that I hid over there. I don't know if Lisa wants it or not. She might steal it. She saw it. She's going, oh my God, that one's really nice. I already made her a placemat and a coaster. I got to get pictures of them. I forgot to get photos. I already made her a placemat and a coaster, but now she wants more stuff. Okay, anyway, we are done. What's the bottom? There's the bottom. Let's give you guys the bottom to look at. So what happens here? Now, I don't know if I can do anything about it. What happens here is the center here, if you push to the edges, is a little puffy. It's a little puffy. It's very, very difficult to see. It's a little bit puffy. And I think that's just the byproduct of, I think it's just the byproduct of this being a single large piece. This is the single large piece. Everything else around it is sewn down. If I were to come through here and if I were to come through here and do some quilting of any kind on this, then you would not notice any puffiness whatsoever. Like I said, it's ever so slight. You push it towards the center. Yeah. You, and that tiny ridge shows up, right? I could make that go away, but I could make that go away by just fluffing this into place, doing a little free motion quilting over the top, and it would disappear. But I do not want stitching in that section because I really, oh, I got to do a quick. That's how quick and easy it is to make sure that yeah, see now that little bit of puffiness is a little bit less obvious. One thing that happens is you're working the fabric and you're doing this and you're doing this and you're doing this. A little bit of stretching will happen. That quick little blast with the iron, that is how quick and easy it is to get the pen marks off. So I wasn't gonna do it on this one. This is something that I might have that was goodness for future projects, is to do a line of stitching from here to here, right through that, and do those, close those up. I think this looks really cool though. I think this looks really cool because this right here, that is where I sewed this strip to this strip, and you now can't see it. All you see is that lovely little line of black. You can feel it. You know it's there. You'll know it's there if you know it's there, it's there. But now it looks like now it looks like come on. Now it looks like I've done a ton of patchwork along the side when I didn't. And look at that little V stayed on all the sides. Oh, it's not quite there on that one. It's there on that one. Oh, it's there and it's not there. Something must be okay. Yeah, they're not misaligned in any way that you're going to notice or care. But yeah, so now it looks way more. Sometimes a really one of those, there we go. I've been doing a lot of quilting lately, so I've got a lot of dust right now. What I'm going to be doing, I might do one more of these just for practice. I might do one more of these this evening for practice, but then I have to clean everything up. Something else too is if spotting black on black is not your thing, running this over will lift those threads and make them more visible for you. There's one there. That's one thing I'm adjusting to right now too, is that switching out my machines. My other machine, my big Janome, has extra lighting. So I've got to adjust to not having quite as much lighting, which is fine. It is what it is. What's that one there? There we go. Let's get that. There. So this is what we're giving away. That's the bottom. That's the bottom. Okay, you can tell. You might not be able to tell. You might decide that something else looks better as your bottom. But the actual bottom, there is a small stem that comes in right there. Yeah, you can see on the camera, that stem right there. That is the only clear. Okay, to me, this is kind of the type of design this is like. To me, if this were brought in a little small, if this were brought in a little closer, you could have any side. You could just, anything could be your top. But anyway, that is the giveaway. That is what we're doing. So you have a nice pattern on the back, and you have your nice pattern on the front. One of the things that I want to do next, you can do this exact same thing you just got to sit down and do the math. Okay, so this is, okay, a circle is 360 degrees. If I'd sign it, I don't know if there's any way to sign it. The only way that I could really sign something like this would be to do the embroidery thing, which is not a signature. Anything that I could sign it with would make, if I were to try and sign it, if I can't use a friction pen. The first time you expose it to heat, it would just go away anyway. If I were to sign it with any other kind of pen, the first time you ever had to wash it, it would just leach. I don't know if there's anything I could sign it with. That'd be a cool idea though, eh? But anyway, so it's 4:17. That's actually perfect timing because I have time to make a decent dinner. I'm going to get going. Don't forget to come in as soon as comments are available. And like I said, depending on how YouTube is working at any given time, can take a while. But just slip in. Hey, I really want to win this, and I'll try and do the draw. If I win, I would like it signed. You know what? At some point, I don't know if I still have it. At some point, I had fabric paint. I bet you I still have fabric paint. If I still have the fabric paint, I'll try and sign it. Maybe I'll do a little fabric certificate of authenticity, and we'll just maybe do something. But anyway, come back in once comments are available. Just, well, you don't got to leave anything. Just let me know whether you want to win it or not. And then I will do the draw on Friday and we will go from there. By the way, I don't always, I'm going to show you guys right quick. We're going to scorch this. We're going to burn this motherfucker. So if you think that there's too many loose threads, it's fine. Just remember to go quickly. Because the type of thread, unless it's a cotton thread, then the type of thread that you're going to be it melts back. This is I use a polyester thread, and it melts back very quickly. If you're holding it in place for more than a second if you're holding it in place, if you're like 1 Mississippi, that's too long. By the time you say 1 Mississippi, you should have been able to take out, you should have went 3 threads. Clumsy me wouldn't dare. It'll go poof. Just make sure. I just scorched the threads. They just, because I use polyester thread, because cotton thread, if you're using cotton thread, which is more environmentally friendly, which is great, but cotton thread does not last as long as regular thread and can actually start just breaking down really fast. Polyester, once something has been held together with polyester thread, the fabric will break down before the thread does. So it's kind of like that. It's that intentional trade. It's the intentional trade-off of it's this intentional trade-off, because I want something nice that's going to last forever. But when I know that the cotton threads can start breaking down in as little as a couple of years and start just fraying and doing all sorts of horrible shit, it's like, it's not going to last. It's not going to last forever if you know that the fabric is going to massively outlive the thread that you put it together with. So I decided on polyester thread. But the benefit of polyester threads, like I said, you just go and the loose threads just disappear. But I also don't always have time. I did 35 drawstring bags. I don't have time to sit there for an hour. Anyway, I probably do. Maybe I'm just lazy, but if you ever spot those types of threads, just keep in mind 1, 2, 3. You're not like, you're like tap, tap, tap. You're doing it very, very quickly. Anyway, the long goodbye has started like 20 minutes ago. So this guy, black and gray, ever so slight. When you I don't think the camera can pick this up. Yeah, see that texture there? See the texture here? see how it's kind of, see those lines? They are very slightly, maybe the other camera will pick it up. Let's see. Oh my God, that camera's making everything look green. Sharpie? I don't know if I can do it in a Sharpie. I don't know if I can do it in a Sharpie. Yeah, it's kind of almost, but not quite. This is such a very, this is a gray with these lines that are all through behind the flower are gray. Yeah, you know what? I've got, see, this is what I do. I make a big fucking mess. I've got another one. So I think I'm going to put this one in the shop. I've also got, were you here from the beginning, Tammy? I did that one too. Whoops. I think Michelle already up. That one's going into the shop. See, so the amount, see, this one's small. This one is smaller. Even though I use the exact same center, this one is smaller because I use narrower pieces here. This one's going into the shop. That one's going to get given away. And I'm making another one. Now, this one here, I was measuring this one out when I started today. And this one here goes off the edge too much. So I'm going to be making this one. I showed you the rulers that I had. I'm going to be using the next size smaller ruler to make this one. And this one's going to go into the shop. So that's probably what I'm going to do for the rest of my day. Because once I get my next one done, I said I was going to do 2 pocket bags, just sign a little label and sew it in the binding. See, here's the thing. I don't want to sew it in. I don't know that I want to sew it into the binding because then people are stuck with it. But I don't know. But yeah, these are fun to make. And don't forget, if you're, like I said, if you're watching this going, I think I might make myself one, which I would love to see, by the way. Just keep in mind that the first one takes the longest. The second one takes a little less time. The third one takes a little less time. And by the time you're making them to sell, to give away, sell, do whatever, by the time you've made a few of these, they start getting faster and faster. But yeah. And of course, maybe that's what I should start doing. Maybe next time I'm on sewing, because I usually come on sewing once a week. Maybe next time I come on, we should do like an AMA about Etsy and running an online business. Just if that's something you guys might be interested in. I don't know. Like, I mean, while I'm working, I'm up for chatting about anything while I'm working. This though, I got really excited. I got really excited about this just because I got really excited about this because I haven't had the time to even think about making one of these for a while. But yeah, this one's the giveaway. We'll be doing another one. Well, this one's a giveaway. I'm gonna say goodbye now and work on the other one. Go feed the kids. Go do the thing. Come back once the comments are available. And like I said, for all I know, the comments are already available. I have no idea. I never bother to keep track. But as soon as you're able to leave a comment, if you want to win it, say something, win something. And where's my stuff? There we go. My mouse is over there. I buried it under a bunch of garbage. You know what it is? I'm trying to avoid. I am trying to avoid